Hello and welcome back to the channel, and in this video we are going to continue with our series of making a social media application using Next.js. Now in the previous video, which is also part 1 of this series, we covered topic user registration, verification and password change. Now in this particular video we are going to authenticate our user using the credentials provided by user and also with the Google. And for that reason we are going to use NextAuth in this particular project. So let's get started and start writing our code. Now first we are going to make our sign up page, and before that we are going to make our sign up schema with Zod. So let's go to our Zod schema file folder, and inside the user schema let's create one more schema here, name SignIn schema is equals to z.object, and inside that we can copy our email and password from here. So copy these two fields and paste here, and that's it with our Zod schema of sign in. Now let's go back to our user folder in app directory and make one more folder named sign in, and then make a page.tsx and one more file named signinform.tsx. Save, and now let's import our sign-in form in the page.tsx. Now the sign-in form will be same as sign-up form. So let's go to the sign-up form, and we can copy all these from here and paste. Actually we can copy all of them and paste it here and change the name to sign-in form. So it will be sign-in form. This will do. Now let's import our sign-in schema here. So this will be our sign-in schema. So we forgot to export our schema here, so go back to the user schema and Zod schema and export our sign-in schema. Now let's go back to the sign-in form, and here let's import our sign-in schema and change the sign-up schema to sign-in schema. Default value will be email and then password. Remove this. Actually we can remove all these lines, and we can also remove this username field, then our confirm password field. And one more package, which is npmi NextAuth Prisma adapter. Now let's install this as well. Now to work with the NextAuth, we have to follow some folder convention, like inside API we have to make one more folder named auth, and inside that make one more folder with name NextAuth. So you have to follow this convention to be able to work with the NextAuth, and then inside that we can have our route.ts and one more file name options.ts. Now let's go inside our route.ts, and inside here let's import our NextAuth from NextAuth, and also import our options here. So we can import our options like this from /options. Now this is giving an error because we have not exported anything from here yet, but we will. And then make a handler here is equals to NextAuth and pass the options, and then we are going to export our handler as get and as post. And now we are going to define our options so that we can pass in our NextAuth. So go back to our options.ts file, and here we are going to do some more imports. First will be type, so type NextAuth options from NextAuth. Then I'm going to import our Google provider from NextAuth /providers/Google, and then we are going to also import our credentials provider. And let's also import our Prisma adapter from NextAuth/Prisma adapter. And lastly, we are going to do two more imports. One is Prisma from our root directory /app/prismadb, and also we are going to import our bcrypt from bcrypt. And now let's define our options here. So that export const options, and this will be type of NextAuth options, and this will be equals to a object. Now inside that, first we are going to provide our adapter. So adapter will be Prisma adapter, and inside that we are going to pass our Prisma instance. After that we are going to have our providers, and it will be an array because we are going to have multiple providers. First will be our credentials provider, and then we will have our Google provider. So first we are going to add our credential providers. So that credentials provider, and inside that first we are going to give it a name. So name will be credentials. Then we are going to provide our credentials. So it will be an email and then a password. Now after credentials, we are going to write our authorize function. So that async authorize, and now inside the authorize function we are going to write all our logics to authenticate our user. So first we are going to check about email and password. If any of these are not present or not provided, then we are going to return a null. So if the credentials.email or credentials.password is not given, then we are going to return a null. If we have both of them, then we are going to find the user with this email. So that const user is equals to await prisma dot user dot find unique, and inside that we are going to pass where condition, and email will be credentials dot email. Now after that, if we don't found a user, then we are going to simply return null, and if we found the user, then we are going to proceed with that and going to check the password. So let's compare the password compare is equals to await bcrypt dot compare, and inside that we are going to first pass our credentials dot password and then pass our user dot password, and we have the password. Now if password did not match, so if password compare is false, then we are going to return null, otherwise we are going to return the user. So this way we are going to authorize or authenticate our user. And one more thing that I forgot to edit here, if we have user, then we have to check if the user is verified or not. If the user is not verified, so we can add it here. If the user dot verified user is not verified, then we are going to return null, and this should be all operator. Now let's sign up with another account here. Username hello, then let's give any random email. So right now it will be submitted and the user will be created. So let's wait for a second, and as you can see it is registered. So if I go to the database and refresh it, we now have another account here with random email and then password, and it is verified user is false. Now if I want to sign in with this email, so let's get the email, and password is hello12 submit. If I try to sign in, you can see that I am not able to sign in. I am getting undefined null. Now after that we are going to add our pages here. So after the square bracket we are going to add pages, and inside that we are going to add a sign in page. So sign in page will be our slash sign in. So whenever we sign in, we are going to be redirected to this page. Now after that we are going to have our session, and a strategy will be a type of JWT, and then we are going to have our secret. So it will be process.env dot NextAuth secret. Now we have to generate this secret, so let's go back to this website and we can search for this. So get started. So on the NextAuth website, inside options, you will get this command. So you just have to copy and then run it your terminal. Let's open my terminal and then just copy and paste. You have to remove this $, and you will get a NextAuth secret. Now copy this and add it to your environment file. Like I have added a env.example. I'm going to add it here and also in my env file. And now let's add our callbacks here. So callbacks are generally the functions that are called after a user signed in or after the session is checked. So below the pages we are going to add our callbacks here, and we are going to have JWT callback and session callback. So first we are going to have our JWT callback, and inside that we are going to have our token, then user, and then session, and inside that let's console it for now. So we are going to console all these three, and then let's return our token, and then we can have our session callback, will have session, user, and then token, and then console it as well, console.log session, user, and token. Now let's write this as session callback, and also let's return the session, and let's add here JWT callback. So right now we are just consoling our token, user, and session in both callbacks here, and I'm just going to show you what we get whenever a user is signed in our application. So let's save, and now we need to make one more file so that we can access our session throughout our app. For that, go to the components, and inside that make one more file named provider.tsx. First let's make it a client component, and after that we are going to import React node from React. After that we are going to import session provider from, where is session provider, from NextAuth / React. Then we are going to write our provider is equals to, now here we are going to pass our children, which will be a type of props. So let's define our type props. Children, and it will be a type of React node. Now inside the provider we are going to return, and we are going to return our session provider, and inside that we are going to pass children. Now let's save and go back to the layout.tsx, and here import our provider. So import provider from app / component / provider. I think we did not export it here, so let's export. So export provider, and this should be default. Now let's go back to the layout.tsx, and here now the error is gone, and outside the theme provider we are going to have our provider, and we are going to wrap all of these inside our provider, and with this we can access our session inside our project anywhere. So now let's go to the user inside our app, and then the sign in form, and here we are going to import use session from next React. Then we are going to import sign in and sign out. Now inside the try block we are going to have our response, and this response will be our sign in response. So here we are going to use our sign in function, which we have imported from NextAuth React. Now inside this we are going to pass two things. First, credentials, so it will be a type of credentials, and inside that we are going to pass our values. So first will be email, and email will be values.email. Then we will have our password, and this will be values.password. So these two things that we are going to pass here. Let's console our response here, and let's import one more thing here, which is import use router from next navigation. Then here at const router is equals to use router, and then after the sign in we are going to get directed to the main page, which is home page. So router dot push and slash. Now let's save and to go back to the navbar.tsx, and here we are going to change some things. So first we are going to import our use session and then the sign out button. Now below this we are going to get our session, then it status from use session. Let's console our session. And now inside our JSX, let's below this, first we are going to check if our status is authenticated or unauthenticated. If it is unauthenticated, then we are going to show a sign in page. So this should be a sign in page, and we can remove this because we are going to show the sign up link on the sign in page. So if the status is unauthenticated, then we are going to show a sign in link. After that, if the status is authenticated, then we are going to show the name of the user as well as the sign out button. So we can have a fragment here, and then we can have two drop down items. Now in first we are going to just show the username, so we can have a p tag here, and inside that we are going to have our session dot user dot name, and in second we are going to have our sign out button, and this will also be a p tag now, and this will be a void function, and here we are going to call our sign out function. Okay, and now let's give this a class name, and we are going to give the text color of red 500. So let's save and go back to our browser. Let's refresh it. Right now we are not signed in, that's why we are getting this. Now let's sign in. So let's sign in. And submit. And I think we are getting some kind of error. Let's go back here, and we are getting let's stop our server and restart it again. Then let's sign it, and then we are going to pass our password. This time the password is actually hello12@. Now if I submit, you can see that in a console I am getting the user here, email, name, and the image, which is none right now. And now if I click on this, I'll get my username and the sign out button. So this way I have successfully signed in my web application. Now let's go back to our code, and here as you can see we are getting some values printed over here. So here as you can see we have our JWT callback, so we are getting from here because we have console it here. So here we have our JWT callback and session callback console. So where it is started, I have consoled the token, user and session in the JWT callback. So JWT function is called whenever the user signed in. So whenever the user signed in, we are going to get the JWT callback and the user in it. After that, whenever we refresh or get our session here, we are not going to get our user here. As you can see, in the first step we are getting user here, but after that we are not getting any user inside our JWT callback. And inside the session we are getting user, which is only name, email and image and our token. So if I want to get the user ID on the front end, I can pass it to the token first and then to the session through token. So let me show you how it can be done. So we can write if user is present, then we can return an object. Inside that, first we are going to have our token, and then inside our token we are going to pass one more thing, which is id. So id will be user dot id. So now the token will also carry a user id with name id. Now if we want to get this id inside a session, we can write return, we can write if user is present, then we are going to return an object. Inside that, first we are going to spread our session, and then inside this we are going to have our user. Inside that, first we are going to spread our session dot user, and then we are going to have our id, which will be token dot id. Now let's save and let's refresh our page and then go back here. So I think we are getting error. So I think why we are not getting our id over here, because we have added this condition. So now save and refresh our page, and now as you can see we have our id over here. And now let's remove these. So remove these 3 lines and this, and also remove the console. So with that we have completed our sign in with the credentials, and now we are also going to add our Google provider to sign in with the Google. So here we are going to have our Google provider. So inside our Google provider we just need to pass 2 parameters. First will be client ID, and we are going to get this from our env file. So write process.env dot google client id as string, and then we are going to get our client secret, and this will be same, we will get it from our env file, and this will be Google client secret. And now let's go to the Google console. So write Google console, and inside the Google Cloud Console, so first you need to sign in with your email and you will be directed to this particular page. Now we have to make one more project here. So click on the select a project and then create new project, and let's give this project a name. So I'm going to give it a SOAP app and then no organization, create, and this will take some time. Now we are going to select this project, and after that, before going to generate our credentials, we are going to go to the OAuth consent screen, and here this is asking about the user type that is going to be signed in our application. So internal is for organization and external is for any user with the Google ID. So I'm going to click on the external, then create, then give a app name. I'm going to give sock app, then supported email ID, my email ID, then domain. I'm going to give a localhost http://localhost 3000, and then copy and paste it here and here. After that, give our email here, so, and then click on the save and continue. I think you may not able to see it, so click on save and continue. Now you have to add some scopes. This is basically what information you are going to ask to your users. So we are going to add some basic consents here, these three, and then update, and just save and continue. After that, we are going to add a test user. I'm going to add myself here, gmail.com, then add, and save and continue. So this is a summary of our project, and we have added one test user, and we are allowed to add 100 more. Now let's go back to the dashboard. Now let's create our credentials here. Create credentials, auth client ID, application type web application. Let's give this a name, again SOCAP, authorized URL. So this will be http://localhost 3000. And now here we are going to provide our authorized redirect URI, which will be http://localhost 3000 /API/auth/callback/Google. And now let's create it. And these are the client ID and the secret ID that we are getting from this. And now we have to copy and paste it in our environment file. So let's create Google client ID. Go to our sign-in page, and below this we can add one more button, and this should be a type of button. Now here we can write sign in with Google, and let's add some class names, write text, write 500 and W full, and we can add a variants. So we are going to have our secondary variant. Now let's save and go back to our browser, and let's change this to outline. Yeah, so now if I click, and after that we are going to have on click. Inside that we are going to have a void function, then sign in, and then pass Google. And now let's sign in with Google, and let's sign in with this email. So after the sign in, you can see that we have our user. Inside that we have our user, email, ID, image and name Satinder. So with that we can confirm that our callbacks are working fine, as well as we are able to sign in with the Google. That we are done with our sign in and authentication of our user, and after that let's secure our paths in our website. For that we are going to make a middleware in our src folder. So that middleware .ts, and here we are going to export default from NextAuth / middleware, and below that write export const config is equals to inside curly braces write matcher, and inside the square brackets we are going to have a slash. So that means we are going to protect our all routes. Now let's save, and if I go to browser and if I sign in again, let's sign in with the Google. You can see I am getting redirected to the home page. Now if I sign out again, I will be directed to the sign in page again, and if I want to go to the home page, I will be getting directed to the sign in page. So that means our middleware is working. And now let's go to our sign in form, and inside here let's get our use session here. Now let's get our data from our use session. So session and status, use session, and if we have our session, then we are going to redirect our user to the home page. So router dot push to home page. Let's save and let's sign in. And now if I try to go to the sign in page again, I'll be redirected to the home page because I have already signed in. So with that we have completed our authentication. Now in the next video we are going to work on the post creation by the user.